Hello, and welcome to the My Heart and Mind podcast, where it's all about creating the feel-good mindset so you can make the most of every moment and reap the benefits of getting the most happiness out of life. And now, over to your host, Sally Crawley.
My show is for you if you've had a heart attack, heart surgery, a cardiac arrest, or your life has been impacted by a cardiac diagnosis. It's all about mastering your thoughts and feelings and emotions so you can feel great and live a life that you love despite your diagnosis. Thank you so much for joining me today. Just before we get into the show though, please be aware that my work is not intended to replace conventional medicine. It is complementary. If you have any concerns about your health or your heart, then do seek medical expert advice immediately. Hello, my dear listener. Welcome back. If you're new today, then I am pleased to meet you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Today we're exploring something subtle but deeply powerful, the language you use when you talk about your heart condition. You survived a cardiac event, perhaps a heart attack, perhaps a cardiac arrest, maybe major heart surgery. The physical journey may be underway with checkups, medications, rehab, lifestyle changes, but there's another dimension often overlooked: how you tell your story to yourself and to others. Because the words you use matter. They shape your identity, your recovery, your sense of agency. And one small shift in phrasing, changing my heart attack to a heart attack or the heart attack, can help you reclaim your narrative, your self-identity and your hope. Today we're going to unpack why language matters, what the research says, how this shift invites you into agency, and practical steps you can try in your daily self-talk and conversations with others. Why language matters, much more than you might think. On the surface, it might seem like semantics. After all, your cardiac event happened. Whether you say my heart attack or a heart attack, the damage has been done. But language is not neutral. Our thoughts and speech create frameworks for how we think. Think about our bodies, ourselves, and our future. When you say my heart attack, you risk embedding the event into your identity. I am the person who had a heart attack. It becomes a label, a badge you carry. That label can bring heaviness, fear, helplessness. I'm vulnerable now. I'm the patient. I'm broken. In contrast, saying a heart attack or the heart attack acknowledges the event, yes, but doesn't let it define the core of who you are. It creates distance. That distance gives space for agency. You become someone who experienced a heart attack and is moving forward, rather than the heart attack person. I'm using heart attack because I had a heart attack, but you just change those words to cardiac arrest, heart surgery, whatever suits you. So what's the evidence behind distancing language? Now you might ask, is there actual research behind this? The answer is yes, and it's fascinating. Psychologists study what's called linguistic distancing. It refers to how people use language that creates psychological distance from an event or an emotion. Higher linguistic distance is linked with better emotion regulation and lower symptoms of stress, anxiety, or depression. For instance, one study found that people who used more distance language during negative events reported better emotional and physical well-being. Another large-scale study found that language alone, measured in therapy transcripts, predicted symptoms severity and treatment outcomes, suggesting that how we talk about our experience deeply matters. In simple terms, the words we choose to describe ourselves and what has happened to us influence how we cope, heal, and rebuild. What the shift from my to a or the invites. Let's map out what this shift in wording invites you to do. Number 1, Distance, it gives you perspective. When you say a heart attack or the heart attack, you create a subtle but powerful distance. There's you, and then there's the event. That separation gives you room to view the event as something that happened to you and something that you can take action on, rather than something that is you. Secondly, it gives you agency and active recovery. With that distance comes choice. You're freed from the label. You can address symptoms, manage your health, and build strength. When you're not defined by the event, you're freer to respond to it. Participate in the recovery rather than feel victimised by it. Thirdly, your self-identity beyond the diagnosis. One of the hallmarks of long-term healing after a major life event is retaining or reclaiming your sense of self beyond the illness. When your language reminds you are the illness, it becomes harder to sustain hope, motivation, or a broader identity. But when you keep the events separate, you leave room for who you were, who you are, and who you will become. And finally, reducing burden and fear. A phrase like "my heart surgery" sounds possessive, as though the event took up residence inside you, influencing everything that you are. That can heighten vulnerability, fear of reoccurrence, or a sense of being broken. The heart surgery or a cardiac event gives a little space for "this happened, it's part of my story, now what do I do next?" How do you make that shift? One word at a time. Okay, so seriously, how do you actually do this in real life? Here's a few practical steps that you can begin today. Begin by noticing how you talk about it. When you catch yourself saying "my heart attack," pause. Try rephrasing the sentence to "I had a heart attack." There was a heart attack that changed my life. I'm recovering from the heart attack. Use the shift in your inner voice too, because your self-talk matters just as much as what you say out loud. When you share your experience publicly with family, friends, in support groups, be mindful of your phrasing. Give yourself permission. You'll still sometimes say "my heart attack" or "my heart surgery," and that's okay. This isn't about shaming certain words. It's about choosing language that supports your emotional recovery. What about if we extend this principle? This move isn't only about heart attacks or heart surgery. It applies to many health challenges and even beyond. A migraine instead of "my migraine." The cancer diagnosis instead of "my cancer." Living with depression rather than "my depression." All of these invite the idea, this is something in my life, not the whole of my life. It's a chapter, not the entire book. So just a little note on nuance and context. Of course, context matters. Sometimes saying "my illness" feels deeply meaningful because it reflects ownership, fighting spirit, lived experience. And for some people, that's empowering. The key is intention. Ask yourself, are you saying "my heart attack" because it reflects ownership? I survived and this is part of my story. Or are you saying it because you feel the event defines you, confines you, and overwhelms you? Also, cultural and personal nuances play a role. The important part is you choose the language that helps you feel empowered, aware, and alive, rather than being beholden to the event. I call for a much wider change. This shift isn't just personal, it can be systemic. Imagine if our healthcare communications use this sensitivity. Doctors writing a diagnosis of coronary disease rather than "your heart disease." Healthcare professionals saying, "we'll support you in managing symptoms," rather than "we'll fight your illness." Written materials using people recovering from a cardiac event instead of heart attack survivors. These are such subtle changes, but together they shift the narrative from illness defines the person to person engages with illness. And my penultimate thought today is this: you are not your illness. You are not your heart attack. You are not your heart surgery. You are not your heart disease. You are, however, someone brave enough to walk a challenging path, someone who is recovering, rebuilding, renewing. So when you next speak of that cardiac event, consider saying, "A cardiac event changed my life." That shift in phrasing is more than words. It's a step of reclaiming your story. It's a step towards you thriving again. Thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to invite you to join my Facebook community. It's called My Heart and Mind. It's a safe space to ask questions, get support and make friends. Please come along and join us. You can find the link in the show notes or in my article that supports this episode, or just pop over to Facebook and search for My Heart and Mind. And now, I want you to listen to my words carefully. You are loved more than you will ever know. You are admired by more people than you'd ever expect. You are worthy of joy and happiness. You are enough. Until next time, take care of your heart and your mind. Speak soon.
You've been listening to Sally Crawley and the My Heart and Mind podcast, a show for you if you've had a heart attack, cardiac event, or other life-changing experience and want to feel good. It's all about mastering your feelings and emotions so you can feel great and live the life you love. To find out more, visit www.myheartandmind.co.uk and note that that's an AND and not the ampersand character. Go be magnificent.